As we are here in Lower Johnsonville, outside the nation's capital, Monrovia. Indeed, today is Thanksgiving Day across Liberia, and specifically, we have thought it wise to pay a visit to the Free Pentecostal Global Mission Liberia, specifically Fenner chapter. And we will be talking shortly to the senior pastor of the Free Pentecostal Global Mission, Reverend Massa David Tarnue Jr. Reverend, it's a privilege. Welcome to the media, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for accepting our invitation. Happy Thanksgiving Day.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for coming to visit me on this special Thanksgiving Day. And I also wish you many, many happy return as we celebrate Jesus together.
So one is watching, might be interested to know, can you give her a little brief history? Who is Reverend Massa David Tarnue Jr.?
Oh, Pastor Tarnue is a son of the soil. He's a Liberian, and I'm somebody who hails from Lofa County, to be precise. I worship with the Free Pentecostal Global Missions Liberia Incorporated Fender branch, and I've been around for a little over 25 years now. Pastor Tarnue is a schooled theologian. I was an associate degree in theology with emphasis in angelology, and I also hold a bachelor degree in Christian education with emphasis in educational psychology. I also have a master's degree in church administration and management with emphasis in church development, constitutional management of churches. I've been a pastor for 10 years now, ordained, and I've been in the ministry for 25 years now, serving both in Liberia and out of Liberia, especially in Nigeria. I schooled in Nigeria, all of my studies, even though I was one time a student of the University of Liberia, dropped out at the sophomore level and took the call to enter into full-time ministry. So that's who I am.
Okay, now that you have been into ministry, can you give us a little background of the church? Where are we in terms of progress, challenges? How did we arrive at this stage?
Oh yeah, the Free Pentecostal Global Mission Church is a very large organization. The mission has been around for a little over 40 years now, and we have more than 52 branches. And our local church in Fender here is an offspring of the Cannonsville Free Pentecostal Global Mission Church in Chigisu Factory. And so where I used to serve as senior pastor, upon my return from Nigeria after study, I spent a little over 5 years working there, and then the Holy Ghost led us through the church sponsorship to come to Fender. And so we've been around for 5 years now in this community. We started in the makeshift structure. In fact, we started at the garage of one of our sisters, and today, in a makeshift structure, in 5 years now, we have been able to build this structure that you see today that we have as a church, fully running. We have been able to secure our own land, build a residence for the pastor. We have been able to have all our leadership into structures. That is the pastor, the assistant pastor, elders. We have finance officers. All of the departments are running, protocol officers, and you name the rest. And as far as the Free Pentecostal Global Missions is concerned, this local branch is the fastest growing churches within our mission. So there where we are.
So they can tell us how people manage it.
Well, number one, God being our helper. 2, teachings. Practically, I'm a teacher, and my vision is to raise leaders. So we do a lot of training. We train more leaders, especially young leaders.
What is the secret behind your success?
The secret behind my success is just Jesus, the Word of God.
Today is Thanksgiving Day across the country, wherein the president has declared as a national holiday. What is the importance of today's Thanksgiving? First, let us know the word Thanksgiving. What is Thanksgiving?
Thanks is an appreciation, either to God or to somebody. And today being a thank you day to God for saving the life of some Liberians in our history. And so by proclamation of our nation leadership, the country deemed it necessary to have this day as a Thanksgiving day. I don't want to go into the politics of the day, but I'm interested in giving thanks to God for the success of Liberia. We may not be where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be. And so we want to thank God for His grace. We want to thank God for the peaceful environment we enjoy. We are not hearing the sound of gun anymore. At least we are seeing safe and free movement. So we want to thank God for that.
How does one in a Christian faith go about celebrating this day today?
I think one of the best ways to celebrate is to thank God for somebody and at least appreciate them. Okay. And when I say thank God for somebody, I appreciate that, I mean by saying sometimes you see somebody, it may not only be the needed, because you see the Bible says the poor will always be around. But there are even people who have money or who are rich and they need just a word. A word of thank you. Thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a sister. Thank you for being a brother. Thank you for just being around me. Thank you. This simple word, thank you, is something that every human being needs. Especially in our nation, we need to be appreciative. And so we as Christians need to learn it and do it. And as we do, I think God is surely going to bless us.
From the background of faith, you said that this day being declared as a national holiday, is it for both religious or different background or only Christians?
Well, I think it's for the general public, because if you look at it carefully, the people involved at the time that declared the day were mostly Christian. And so you notice that most of the things of the nation was done in the church. The Declaration of Independence was in the church. Everything about Liberia had been in the church. So from the onset, the overall view was the church, Christian orientation, Christian fundamentals. So you will notice that everybody was looking at the church. But today we have people from diverse background. That is, we have our sister religion, the Muslim, the Buddhist, the Baha'is, different religions are now in Liberia. So we have to incorporate them in a way that they also should learn to thank their God for saving Liberia as a nation. And let's live in peace with one another. I think that is my major concern.
We know that Liberia founded July 26, 1847. Other person, as a man of God, do you agree or like how the country going?
Well, I don't want to agree to the fact that the country is very sweet, because you see, Jesus did not promise us that all was going to be well. He surely said that we will go through the fire. So there must be some ups and downs. There will be some challenges. As a nation, we will experience some things. But in the midst of it all, He said we should keep looking unto Him, the author and the finisher of our faith. Quite frankly, if you will ask me personally, I don't like the way the economy is running. There are some challenges we have.
Specifically, what is lacking that you think?
Our people's stable food are not getting to them on time. People are not receiving the kind of meal they're supposed to get. And so the economy is shaking when it comes to the stable food.
Who do be blamed? Who do be blamed?
Who make up the government? We are the government, so we all take the responsibility. And so what we need to do is everyone all need to go back to the farm. So that's why myself, I'm going back to the soil. I'm going back to the farm next year and start planting rice and start planting. Right now, as I'm talking to you, my place to Stephen Tubber, we just planted about 50 heads of plantain. So we want to raise them up, and I see my father started harvesting plantain, and we started making it as a secondary food for our staple food. So it's going to help me a whole lot.
Specifically, what would be your fear if the shortage of the staple food becomes very scarce on the market in the next 2 years to come?
Then that means leadership has a problem.
Okay.
And John Mason said something. As a leadership expert, I want to say it too. Everything rises and falls on leadership. If our nation will do well, the leaders must take the initiative to start making sure that the stable food of Liberians are gotten to them just in time. And I have a strong fear, if we don't have it in between now to next year before the election, it's going to be a serious problem.
What's going to be the problem?
The problem is that Liberians will take out to the street like 1979.
Are you bringing the West Rider back?
They may not come like that, but they will do it in a way that this government may not have the interest of the people. Next election.
Are you talking like an opposition? Let's look at you.
I'm not an opposition, neither am I an imposition. But I'm just a Liberian and wanting to say the fight to government.
Now, are you expecting war in the country?
War in terms of what?
In terms
Bullets?
of, yes, for sure.
No. Right now we are too mature for that. This country, if you observe, people are too mature. With our experience, nobody's going to take arm for anybody. But I tell you the truth, there will be intellectual war.
But looking at the grievances of many Liberians going against one another, maybe at intellectual center, at IT center, based on oppositional view, do that serve as a recipe to uplift the global politics to another level for Liberia putting forth, comes to 2023 election?
Global politics in what sense? I don't understand.
In a sense that one political party will be arguing that this agenda is the best way to move the country forward, and another one still arguing that this.
It's a normal thing. It's a normal phenomenon, my brother. Everybody want to argue their point. Everybody want to argue their platform. So you expect the ANC to argue, the CDC to argue, the United Party to argue, the Liberia Party.
Will that move our country forward?
Well, in terms of politics is talking, so people must talk. I call it tautology. So people can.
Why did you call it tautology?
Tautology is the study of talking.
Okay.
And so because people study to talk, so they got to talk.
Okay, let's talk about your upcoming program. We'll come back to politics. Let's talk about your upcoming program.
What are we hoping to see?
Yeah, that will be November 10th.
Wow. Well, like I said, I started ministry at a very young age. And by the grace of God, I've been around for 25 years now, especially working with young people.
Okay.
I understand the language and the tone of young people. I have served as a youth pastor for more than a decade. And I serve in all capacity in my church under the youth leadership. And this time around, getting into full-time ministry is 10 years now. Today is exactly 10 years. I thought not to really have an elaborate section.
Okay.
But few of my friends who knows me well, who understand what I have done in this country. I used to work for Dr. Senator Jane Tonola at the Trinity Bible College, and now Trinity College of Professional Studies. And I have been able to train a lot of pastors in this country. I have been able to ordain more than 20 pastors. I was able to establish the Institute of Church Administrators and Managers, where we are training young pastors who will take on the mantle of authority with the sense of direction, who has understanding and vision. And by the grace of God, with the few pastors that have passed through my hands, and even the ones that are passing through my hands right now, it worth celebrating. And so the church, as a local church here in Fender, thought to honor me, thought to celebrate the day with me on the 13th. And is a sober reflection. It's not something that I want to have an elaborate something, no, but it's a sober reflection of where I was, where I am, and where I'm going.
How are you expecting that day to be on the 13th?
A day that I analyze as a swap analysis. The swap analysis is to rearrange myself. What have I done in ministry? What are my achievements? What can I do? What are the threats? And how do I bulk up?
After that day,
Are we expecting various speakers from different
my spiritual father, the Reverend Joseph T.S. Manger, my spiritual grandfather, Reverend Joseph T.S. Manger, is expected to be here to bless me on that day. My mentor and spiritual father in ministry, Reverend John Singwe, who also has one of the fastest growing churches in our mission on the Rawafi Highway, will be also here on that day. And I expect to see our mission general overseer. I'm a major contributor to our mission, especially when it comes to education. So I've been a consultant when it comes to church doctrinal issues. So I expect my general overseer to be here. I contested in the mission politics the other time, even though along the way people say I was too young to take the position, so I decided to let go. But I still do a consultancy for them, and so the mission leadership will be here. And some of my friends from Cameroon and Ghana, they are also asking me to be around during that time. And so they want to come to see what are the way forward. What have I done in Liberia as well as I used to do in Nigeria? So
would there be a specific thing reaching out to the public, maybe a text or thing or a special message going out to the public?
On that fateful day, my message will be the way forward.
How did you derive that?
The way forward. I have a message in Numbers chapter 33.
Okay.
When God told Moses to tell the children of Israel to keep moving, and he said, "Don't stop, keep moving." And in that message, it said, as we are journeying, the Bible says, and Moses took note of the starting point. So we are looking at the way forward. We are taking note of our starting point, and we are talking about how can we get forward. Keep moving. Don't stop.
The way forward. What do you expect after that day?
The way forward is right after that day. Try to see me on the spotlight, raising more leaders. The way forward, right after that day, I have an interest in building one of the finest Bible universities in this country. The way forward, right after that day, I'm going to take a large move into our sister religion settlement, the Muslim settlement, especially in Cape Mount. The way forward.
Are you from Grand Cape Mount?
I'm not from Grand Cape Mount.
Why
Lofa.
will you take it to Grand Cape Mount?
The gospel need to be preached in Grand Cape Mount.
Great Cape Mount?
Not only Grand Cape
Mount.
I'm going as far to every place and every area where we don't have our branches and where I think Jesus has not been preached.
Are you also anticipating in Lofa County?
Lofa. We are already in Lofa, but I'm going to go to Lofa, especially in my father's village.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a very big vision, but such a vision implementations matter. Let's talk a little bit about some of what you intend doing. The vision is big. Do you in a way have overseas support to bring this vision to reality in a very possible time?
One of the things I always tell young ministers: don't look for overseas, look for the sea that is above the oversea.
Okay.
And that is to say, I look up to Jesus, the author and the finisher of my faith. Everything you see me do here as you go through after this interview, nobody is sitting in any country, in any foreign country, sending me a dime.
You got foreign friends?
No.
Okay.
Even if they are there, they are not sending me a dime for such work.
Okay.
Every work you see me do here, the money is raised from right among the people here. And what I do that for is to set an example. Listen, when you tell people, say, give me money to buy pen, yellow pen, when they come after 2 days, or the day you specify, when they come, they should see the yellow pen that you told them that you want to buy with the money. When they give you the money, buy the yellow pen. And so, when the people give me money in this church, for church purpose, for church development, I put the money right to the place they asked me to put it. And that is why I'm not on salary.
Now, let's go back to politics a little bit. And next year, Liberia will be going to the poor election. As men of God, you can tell us what's the advice, what's the message to the peace-loving people of Liberia?
Well, my advice, Liberians, Liberia is all we have. There is nowhere like home. We cannot be deported from this land as Liberians. My advice, let all Liberians open their eyes and vote in the right way as they are led. If you think that President George Mane Weah is the rightful person that can continue for the next tenure, vote him. If you think that he has not done well, that he should not be the person you think that can do well, please bring them. But there should be no fighting. There should be nothing like throwing blow or gunshots on one another. I believe there will be no war.
Do you believe in any political institution idea?
Well, I must be very, very true. I'm a pastor, so I don't want to lie.
Okay.
Every human being by nature
is a
politician.
Okay.
And so, being a pastor, I'm a trained and seasoned theological politician.
So what do you think of the government?
This government?
What do you think?
In sense of what?
In terms of discrimination, describing the government.
Developmental wise.
Yes.
If I will grade
What was your school? What would be your school?
for school,
Yeah.
it's 55 points.
Why?
Because she have not hit the point that I'm expecting. Right now, I can't go to Grand Gilead.
Okay.
I have a church in Grand Gilead. I have not been able to go there since the rainy season because the road is bad. I have a lot of my members that are from Grand Gilead. They know the road is bad. So developmental wise, even though Belumbe was trained as barrow medicine, but that one he failed. I can't go to Lofas directly through Bonkante. I had to pass through Severin. My senior pastor had to pass through Severin 3 weeks ago to go to. My pastors from Foya, they came down to visit Israel, and upon their return back to Foya, they had to pass through Freetown.
But then you voted for the president. You voted for President Weah.
I didn't vote for President Weah.
Who you voted for?
You don't need to know that's my personal vote. I went behind the box. I alone, so you don't need to know about that.
That cross over to other. We are seeing a lot of pastors nowadays are political driven, going on giving an author to politician. What's your advice?
Giving that other in terms of what?
In using politics in the church.
Specifically, wherein maybe a politician is supporting the church.
Yeah.
The politicians supporting the church. The politicians also support the church. In fact, right now, where I'm sitting down, saying any politician has come, I will collect their money from them because they're supposed to support the church. They're supposed to be born again Christian and come to the church. Say they are not going to do it, now they come in, I will collect it now. It's like what I call tithe of the tithe. The one is supposed to be paying before, say they're not paying it. I come, when they bring it now, I will collect it and keep it for them.
A lot of our parents are saying
The only thing, let me tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I will not allow any politician to abuse the pulpit.
Meaning what?
You can come on my pulpit and use it as your political
Jargon.
No. By the time you do that, I will correct you right there. You will not go, I will correct you. I will surely correct you. That's why you see my good friend, Honorable Lauren Morris. I hardly see him visiting churches. He's a very good friend to me. The honorable for this district number 1 in Montserrat County.
Okay.
But if I was to invite Lauren Morris here, he know when he come here, he will not come talk politics. He try, you know that I will tell him, say, Lawrence, with all due respect to you, sir, that chair here, let's talk church matter. When we go there, they get a theater for politics. You go and discuss it. They want that the theater for theology. So I will not allow anybody to abuse the pulpit.
Women nowadays are being marginalized, especially when it comes to the rape issue and in terms of death you are seeing across the country. What do the Liberians hold to hear from the religious community?
It's a pity. It's a serious pity for our girls, our sisters to be abused. It's a serious pity. I pity the situation, but I want to advise that even our sisters should control the way of dressing. Last night I was at the Blacktown United Methodist Church, and I was telling her a story about a sister who we saw as stealing trouble, and she was preparing for the Thanksgiving day today, and the dress code she had on. So her aunt passed by her and said, "Che, my dear," she said, "Look, she said, you want, I get one life today, I can't suffer 2 times."
Wow.
She said, "I can't suffer on earth, then I go and suffer in hell. So I better enjoy on earth, then I go suffer in hell." And I was like, wow, and the auntie was sharing tears in her heart. And I want to advise our sisters, while it is true that there are too many rapes going on, it's also advisable that they stop dressing the way they dress. When you tell the fish not to, the cat not to eat the fish, tell the fish not to smell. So let's make sure we preserve the fish as the way the rock in the head of the fish is being preserved. No matter how rotten the fish is, the rock in the head will never get rotten.
Many Liberians use this parable empty bed not stand. That is, you're talking about the rights issue, and today is Thanksgiving. How do you feel on the faces of Liberians today?
No food, hungry, suffering, and disappointed masses on the faces of the people. But listen, I said from the onset, the poor will always be with you. My brothers, Liberians, when there is no food right now, try to find another means. Listen, I walked out of the bank one day. I was going to the bank and I saw a young guy. Every time he sees me, he will beg for money. So this day I planned that I will correct him. He was hungry. Indeed, I know he was hungry. So when I came back out of the bank, he asked me for arm, and I said no. And my friends were like, why? You mean you pastor? You mean him there? I said, you know what? He said, no. I said, two or all we are the same. The only difference between you and myself, your own and your hand, my own and my foot. But I'm using my brain to go and survive. I go to lecture at college. I teach. I go to other seminars and conferences to teach. For the matter of fact, I'm an author of 2 books. I'm expected to put up my next book on church administration next year.
What are the other 2 books?
I have one on understanding the ushering ministry, and the other one is personal and corporate vision development.
Now look at the name and breadth of this book. Has it gone widespread?
I can say to a great extent, especially the first book have gone wide, because the United Methodist Churches annual conferences for the ushers department are using it extensively. The Assemblies of God churches are using it. New breed Pentecostal churches in this mission are using it. There are some inland churches in Nima County are using it. A lot of churches, I can recall of them. In fact, this book is even in Tanzania with my friend Bishop Patrick. So, I mean, he have gone wide. It's in Nigeria.
So at that time, your message to him was what?
To the guy, the crippled guy.
For sure.
I told him to go and find a job to do. Find something to do to put smile on his face. You don't have to be begging. My friend, I have every right to sit and be begging. I can lift up my trousers and show my foot. When you see my legs, I've been through 13 different surgeries, man. Before the war, I've been through terrible operations. So, listen, I have every right to beg like anybody. But hey, just this morning I received a call. One of my friends who is a physically challenged person just died. But she put her brain to work. She was working with the Handicap International and physically challenged organizations. And she was doing well. She just died from pressure this morning. I will be passing it to sympathize with her. Alright? Listen. We should sympathize
with the family.
Yeah, with the family, sorry. We should learn to put our hands to work. The fact that we are physically challenged, we are not mentally challenged. So Liberia, the fact that the government, through President we are in the Ministry of Commerce and whatsoever ministry is responsible is not bringing the stable food, that does not mean that we should not go back to the soil to try to find another thing to eat. When no rice, thank God there is no rice. And thank God that there will be no rice. And let's thank God that He will give us another idea on what to do.
So
to get
going back to the soil, let's look at empowerment. Empowering those people that you are calling on the government to send it to the soil in terms of hoax, shovel, repair. How do you look at it?
And that is the reason why the church as a church should also get involved. We should not only depend on the government. Christian organizations should be involved. Let's empower the people. Let's provide some materials, alright, that can help them. That's what I think of my friend Bishop Robert Bema of the Abba in the Van Church.
Yeah.
He runs the program called CHAP.
Yeah.
And he's going back to the soil. And he's doing well at EIW. He said EIW or Dugo Road. They just put a huge farm producing rice. So, man, I was just talking the other day. I'm going to his place to go. When there was shortage of rice, I'm going to him so I can buy my rice for him. I'll be managing with that. You understand? So, let's empower the people and let the government also, through our president and the Ministry of Commerce and Agriculture, empower the people with materials. And hey, President, where we are, please try to ensure that this dry season, let the road be fixed so that the people can bring our food from the farm.
Which are you talking about?
Those farm roads. Okay. And I will be very specific, Lofa County.
Finally, what's your relationship with the Liberia Council of Churches?
Well, I'm very young. These are fathers.
Well, you passed through your hand. Great,
but you know, there is the tendency of, this kind of atmosphere that many religious leaders create. If you are not at the certain level, you can associate with certain people.
What's the level?
And practically, you know what I'm talking about. You must have jeep. You must be a bishop with launching. I don't believe in that. I'm a simple person. I'm a simple leader. But I have a good relationship in the sense that my bishop, my senior pastor, used to be very close, and he's very close with the Liberian Council of Churches. And so because of that, I believe in the Council of Churches. I believe then in the leadership of Bishop Brown Now you have crossed over to another person. I think from the Baptist angle. Is that Dr. Reeves?
Yeah, that is
Yeah,
somebody.
so I believe in the leadership of Dr. Reeves. I know that he can do well. So when the need arises for us to send in our contribution to the Council of Churches, technically, we can involve.
We have to go.
All right, so we have to let you go. We have to definitely let you go. Those of you watching us, we'll also say thanks for joining. Those of you who will be watching later on, it's a privilege to be here at the Free Pentecostal Global Mission in Liberia, specifically a Fenor branch. And we're in conversation with Reverend Massa David Tarnue Jr. We've been talking more about the importance of Thanksgiving Day celebration in Liberia, a couple of national issues shaping the destiny of our country, Liberia. So finally,
so can you just read some of the test reactions the viewers are putting, so if the pastor can address that? Just take it for an angle.
Okay, so this one coming. I'm watching from Kumasi, Ghana. Okay, then there's a happy anniversary that. Okay. So you take it from your end because
this one saying thanks, Daddy, Barrow, medicine not working. Wow, we talk about real connectivity too. This other one saying congratulations, happy anniversary. Today's our anniversary. Happy anniversary. Why? Okay, so just conquer the end of the quick.
So anything finally you want to send out to the public, some of your members and so forth?
I want to first of all say thank you to God. 1, 2, I want to thank God for my parents, my mother and my father, who took the courage to allow me to become a pastor, because my father wanted me to become a football player. But interestingly, I couldn't continue on the football field issue because I became challenged. But thank God that he accepted me being a pastor. And I want to be happy also to say thank you to my wife and my 4 little children who have always stood with me to ensure that I do the work of the ministry. I tell you the truth, behind every successful man, there's a hard-working, successful woman. And so my wife is a hard-working, successful person. She's a graduate of the University of Liberia with emphasis in sociology and management. And she has been supporting me. I also want to say a big thank you to Reverend Joseph T.S. Manger, someone who contributed immensely to my spiritual upkeep. And then I want to say thank you to Reverend John Sele Cindy, a mentor and a father, the one who is coaching me to do what I'm doing. And I want to say a big thank you to all of the Free Pentecostal Global Mission churches and our General Overseer, the Reverend Henry S.M. Poole, Reverend Jasper Nabola, the Chairman of the Poole, Reverend James T. Plackey, and the list goes on. Specifically, I also want to say thank you to my alma mater, the National Youth Department, Honorable Ibele Plackey. He has been one of those young people who have been really pushing me into the public scene, to the public spotlight. I want to say thank you to him, and I also want to encourage every mission member. Let's get involved into missions. Let's plant more churches. I want to say also to the Liberian community, all of our Liberian brothers and sisters, whether in and out of Liberia. Next year election is going to be very important, very cardinal. Let's get involved. Let's go to the poll and vote the right people who want to vote. And let us not do it with bloodshed. Let's argue the facts. Let's talk the talk. And let's do all the tautology. But at the end of the day, let us vote rightly. God bless you. God bless Mama Liberia. Again, I look forward to seeing you on the 13th of November, 2 p.m. right in this church, right around this office.
Is that open to the public?
Yeah. It's open because I want the public to also come and ask me, and I want them to tell me what are some of the things they know about me, and what are the things that they think that they can suggest to me that I can have a way forward.
All right, thank you all so much. Your name again, please.
Thank you so much. My name is Reverend Chaplain Massa David Tarnue Jr. And also, somebody want to know who is a chaplain. A chaplain is a counselor, a Christian counselor, and so I'm a Christian counselor. So I'm the senior pastor of the Free Pentecostal Global Mission Fenner branch, aka Hope Palace. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you.